It's your blind babe Beth, and today we're going to talk about why I'm going blind. So I have a rare inherited retinal disease called retinitis pigmentosa, or RP for short. In 2018, I had a routine checkup with my optometrist just to see how everything was going. I've been nearsighted for quite a while now, and yeah, so I would see him for prescription for eyeglasses. And during the appointment, I told them something that I'd been keeping to myself for a very long time, and that was that I was having trouble seeing at nighttime and in dimly lit places like movie theaters, restaurants, even in our own home. And this made them a little bit concerned, and they did a few different tests, and they said your retinas are quite thin. So thin retinas coupled with trouble seeing at night, they sent me off to a specialist, a retinal specialist, to investigate further. And then I think it was only a few months later, I had my diagnosis of RP. RP, or retinitis pigmentosa, is kind of an umbrella term for a whole range of retinal diseases with really similar symptoms. That being night blindness, poor night vision, also called, I think it's called nyctalopia. All of these retinal diseases affect the retina, which is the light sensitive part right at the back of your eye. There are over 100 genes that are known to cause RP, and I have hair on my face. Fuck you. The most common symptoms of RP are night blindness and peripheral vision loss. So that's everything outside of your central vision. So I'll demonstrate kind of what that's like. So if you imagine, it's kind of like looking through a telescope where only sort of the central part of what you're looking at is visible. You do what I just did and rolled up like a piece of paper. Luckily, my central vision is still holding on. It's okay, but my periphery is pretty much gone. So regular sighted folk, people with good vision, will typically have around 180 degrees of vision. So if you start from around about here, that's kind of like 180, and then it slowly closes in and the number gets smaller. I have less than 10 degrees in each eye. And unfortunately with RP, that small central vision that I have will continue to shrink over time and get smaller and smaller. It's estimated that around 1 in 4,000 people have RP, but those statistics are from the United States, not Australia. So unfortunately I don't know what those numbers are. I actually have no family history of retinitis pigmentosa. I do have elderly relatives who have age-related macular degeneration and glaucoma, but no one else in my family has RP. For a little while there, we were a little bit stumped as to where this was coming from and what was going on. Because there is no family history of RP, my retinal specialist was kind of, I guess, interested to know where this was coming from, if I'm likely to pass it on if I ever have children, and if even something is dormant in our genes and maybe some of my cousins or other family members may be affected by it and not even know. I am an only child, so I don't have any siblings that have it. It's just me. Because of this, in 2021, I got genetic testing to see what gene is causing my RP. And I think we were all pretty shocked to find out that I actually have Usher syndrome. Usher syndrome is not an unhealthy obsession with the singer. It is another rare disease that typically causes issues with hearing, balance, and vision. It's actually the most common cause of combined deafness and blindness. There are 3 types, USH 1, USH 2 and USH 3, with a possible 4th being looked at. All forms of Usher syndrome come with retinitis pigmentosa, so that means everyone who has Usher syndrome has RP. But more on all of that good stuff in another video. I actually have a rarer presentation of Usher syndrome because I don't experience hearing loss. This is very atypical, it is not the norm, so I've kind of felt like a bit of an outsider in the Usher community. Not that anyone's made me feel that way, but I can't fully relate to the experience of losing 2 senses, my sight and my hearing. The gene that causes my Usher syndrome is called USH2A, and I think it's the most common gene, the most common USH gene in the United States. But again, I don't live in the United States, I live here in Australia, so I don't know what those statistics are, unfortunately. Because I don't have hearing loss, what I actually have is called non-syndromic Usher syndrome because the symptoms that I experience are not the norm. So you may be asking yourself, why does RP cause blindness? Like, how does it actually make me go blind? There are cells in your eyes called rods and cones. Cones are responsible for color vision, and rods are responsible for low light vision. This is why poor night vision or night blindness is often one of the most commonly reported first noticed symptoms of RP, myself included. Basically, our rod cells begin to die off. Retinitis pigmentosa has no cure. There are a few researchers and clinical trials being done, but because there are over 100 genes that cause RP, it's really difficult for these scientists to target all of them. So there are specific genes that are being looked at, but unfortunately it comes down to either having enough patients with this specific gene or even having the funding. Unfortunately, it does all boil down to funding and money, and yeah. Other symptoms I have are visual snow. So I may be showing my age a little bit here, but if you remember VHS tapes or like old TVs that would get static if you went to a channel that didn't exist, like black, white and grey flashing chaotically, it's kind of like, as I look around, my vision is never still. It is always in movement. And I don't mean like my eyes are moving. I don't have what's called nystagmus, which is involuntary eye movement. I don't have that. But it's like, kind of like an overlay of everything I look at. Yeah, so everything flickers and shimmers, and it can be really distracting, but I don't know, I've been living with it for the past 5 or 6 years, so you just kind of learn to ignore it and go on with your day and what you're doing. Visual snow is not painful for me, it's just, yeah, kind of looking through old TV static. I also have light sensitivity, which means that when I go outside and it's really sunny, even on like a cloudy day where it's really, like the glare is very high, I have to wear sunglasses, otherwise it really hurts my eyes. The kind of tricky thing that you may not realize is that sunglasses in the shade equals night blindness. So when I'm in direct sun or a really bright place, sunglasses are great. If I pass through shade, I effectively see nothing. So I'm constantly having to lift them up and down, but we make do. I also get blind spots, so as well as having peripheral vision loss, if you remember looking through like a telescope, small central vision I have a donut-shaped blind spot. So, I don't know how you would really describe it, but like a circle, smaller circle within the bigger circle. It's really hard to describe. I have created some graphics on Canva using my own photographs to try and simulate kind of what it's like looking through my eyes. So if I can figure out how to put them in this video, I will. So there you go. I am going blind because of a rare inherited retinal disease called retinitis pigmentosa, or RP for short. Is there a cure? No. Is there anything I can do to stop myself from going blind? Also no. But the more that I live with my blindness, the more I think I will be okay. It really takes a toll on your mental health because the vision loss is progressive and permanent. We cannot regain what we have lost, at least not yet. Fingers crossed one day. But yeah, I always say that the grief never ends because every 6 months, every 12 months, every year and a half, you know, your vision declines and you may notice it or you may not notice it. It took me until I was maybe 13 or 15 to realize, oh, I can't see in our house during the day without the lights on, or oh, I really can't see where I'm walking right now at night. This is scary. Our vision can be a funny thing sometimes. We can be losing our vision, have new symptoms pop up and not even really realize what's happening until much later down the line. It is now much later down the line for me. I'm no longer a teenager, I'm in my late 20s. My retinal specialist, I think it was a few appointments ago, told me, yeah, you're gonna have real trouble when you're in your 40s. Which is really confronting, and he didn't mean it in a rude or pointed way. I think he was just being brutally honest with me, like, yep, I've been seeing you for 4 or 5 years now. We've been mapping how much your vision has been changing and degrading over time, or just based off of his knowledge. Yeah, I think you're really going to struggle when you're in your 40s. So, not that I'm not already struggling now, but it will continue to be more of a struggle the more I age, unfortunately. But at the same time, this struggle, going through these really hard things, has actually taught me a lot about myself and about others. I think I am a stronger person for it. That doesn't mean I don't allow myself to cry or get emotional or really feel what I'm feeling, because I believe that's really important. But with the bad also comes the good, and I found the blind community online and they have been my saving grace. They have taught me that I can be a blind badass. I don't have to stop doing the things I love. I don't have to stop wearing makeup. I don't have to stop cooking, which I really enjoy. I don't have to live a sheltered life. I can use my white cane and walk confidently. You can still be who you are, blind. I have learnt so much in the last 5 years that I really believe I'm a better person for it. So I really don't think in this moment that I would change anything that has happened. So there you go. I'm going blind because of RP. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I hope you learned something new. Please like this video if you did. Leave me a comment down below saying whether or not you know about RP or if you've learned something new. And please consider subscribing, because I would love for you to stick around and learn a bit more. So thank you guys so much. I will see you next time.